Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Pet Loss Journals podcast. I have a very, very special guest with me this week, Jess Tyrrell from Ladybug Art, which I can't believe I'm speaking to, but a lot of you listening will be so familiar with Jess and her amazing work as an artist. And she sends her pieces to so many, and even you listening may have one in your living room or bedroom or wherever in your house. So that's just amazing. So I hope you're all smiling and you're going to get ready for this week's episode because I know I've been looking forward to this chat for so long. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be really special that we're going to be talking about Roo. Welcome, Jess, and tell us a little bit about Roo, how you met each
Right,
other.
when you say a little bit, it might be a long bit.
I always say a little bit, it's just an Irish
love
thing.
speaking about her. She was my favourite dog in the world.
Yeah. Well, tell us everything. We'd love to know.
Oh, where do I begin? I wasn't even meant to have a dog. That's where I must begin. I was 18. I was reckless. I was working in a pub and drinking in a pub and living life as an 18-year-old would. My friends, actually, one of them, really confusing, they used to test police cards.
Okay.
He was looking for a dog that he could take with him to test the police cards. So we found this beautiful, it was an independent rescue centre right in the middle of nowhere. And we just went in one day and we thought, oh, we'll have a look and, see the dogs and say hello. And as we were walking, there was like a little field and a path. And as I walked up this path, this tiny, hairless puppy has run towards me. I had a white flowy skirt on and she's just jumped up. I've knelt down. She sat on my lap. And I think in that aspect, the rest is history because I knew from that moment she was coming home with me.
Oh.
That was it, really. I said to the rescue centre, look, I'm 18. I'm responsible now. I'm legally allowed to do what I need to do. I was still living with my mum at the time. And they said, no, as long as you have a property, we'll come and do the property search. We'll come and do this, that, and the other. So I was like, right, here's my month's wages. Take it. Let me know when I can bring her home. I had to wait a few weeks because she had mange. Okay. She had a super sad story. Her mum belonged to a homeless person and her mum died giving birth to Roo and her brother, I think it was. So she was sort of hand-reared from a pup and then she caught mange and she was just a beautiful, scabby little dog and I knew I had to have her. So I rushed home. I said to my mum, look, there's going to be some people coming round. I'm getting a dog. And
surprise.
Yeah. And she was like, do you not want a cat? And I was like, no, not really. I have a really weird relationship with cats. Through growing up, we had such lovely cats, but they've always been, one was poisoned and then the rest were hit by cars. I physically can't cope with it. It's too much risk and emotion that I can take on. Mm-hmm. Having that knock on the door for them to say, is this your cat? I just, I can't do it. At least with dogs, you're not in control. All of my dogs have been completely in control of me, but at least I know where they are and 9 times out of 10, they don't actually want to go away from you. So that was that. I said that we had the checks. Everything was amazing. We went and picked her up. It was a beautiful moment. She threw up in the back of the car and every sign to say this dog's going to be hard work we got. And it was amazing. It was just, she was a bouncy puppy. I've grown up with big dogs. There's pictures of me with a pit bull at 1 year old. We've always had big dogs in the household. I've never not had a dog. So we knew what we were in for. She used to jump backwards. Her legs were long. She was a Labrador cross Staffordshire Bull Terrier. So she was just this really odd shape. She was a puppy. It was trouble. I had a moped. I came home one day. She chewed my whole bike helmet. I had no idea where it was gone. Oh. I just had sort of the belt that went under my neck left. I was like, where? Constant vet visits because she's eating things she shouldn't. But I knew I needed her. From the moment that I met her, it's really weird. If you have never experienced your soul pet before, which I hadn't, like I said, I've grown up with so many animals and I love them and life's amazing and it's beautiful. As soon as you meet your soul pet, you know it's for life. It's like this otherworldly, you communicate with no words, you learn, you love. It's something special.
That deep intuition, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, you know each other inside and out so early on. And my life from 18 was, I moved, I sort of lived out of a suitcase. She came with me everywhere. She just accepted it. You know, she was like, this is an amazing adventure. Where are we going next time? She was always happy. So regardless of why my situation ended the way it did and I had to move on, she didn't care. So I felt okay. You know, normally you need someone to go, no, it's okay. I didn't have a human to do that.
She was your support through
but
that.
She was just
yeah.
there. She was my emotional crutch throughout my whole life. When I was 21, I fell pregnant, unplanned, with my partner. So we moved again. We went into my nan's and everyone was really, really worried. Roo was about 3.5, 4 years old now. We were so close. We used to sleep back to back in bed. You know, she'd snore, she'd keep me up, and then I'd cradle her like a baby to give her yogurt in the morning. It was just a beautiful relationship. So all of a sudden I'm pregnant and I have a baby on the way. And everyone's like, look, she is so territorial over you. You really have to think about getting rid of her. And I'm like, no, I trust this dog implicitly. Like, there is not a doubt in my mind that I'm going to have another human who is me. She's going to accept it. Everyone's like, oh, lo and behold, my daughter was born and I thought my bond was strong. It was an even stronger bond with the pair of them. Wow, they were just like glue. Relationship ended. It is what it is. We were a tripod. I was a single mum. I couldn't work at the time because obviously I've got a newborn baby. I don't know what to do. My daughter didn't sleep. She's very much like me. She likes to stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning. So I have a newborn baby who wants to stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning. So I thought, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm going to start painting. I'd never painted a pet in my life. Never. I always said I couldn't do it. So I started painting, you know, baby in the rocker, Roo to one side of me. I wasn't alone. I never felt lonely. You know, you hear so many times being a lone parent. It's difficult, obviously. But I didn't need anything else. There was the three of us. You know, we used to go to the beach. We used to go everywhere together, car rides, because and try and get my dogs to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're all driving 40 miles out and back, and we're all still awake, you know, so we'll then have a pizza. And so growing up, or my daughter growing up, there was I had 2 children. I had, you know,
essentially,
and I never read a baby book. I learned how to parent through Roo being a puppy. I was 21. Wow. I had no idea what I was doing. And I'm like, okay, toilet training. How did I toilet train Roo? Well, I took her out every hour and we just walked around the garden. Okay, so with my daughter, I'll just sit her on the potty every hour. It was like she'd already shown me the way of how to be a mum. Life was good. I can't... We used to dance in the kitchen. It was just... I mean, I will say once I ended up in a wheelchair because we were dancing in the kitchen and I fell over her and sprained both my ankles and ended up in a wheelchair. But it was a memory that I can now hold on to and I can think of, you know, if someone says, oh, have you ever been in a wheelchair before? Yes, I have, because my dog. It's an opportunity to talk about her.
To talk about her, yeah.
Apart from that, it was like this, if you were to read a book, the 12 chapters of her life was a beautiful love story. You know, I can't... it was as simple as that. It was just beautiful. When I think of our lives together, it was just beautiful.
Mm.
And then obviously she got old. Bug, my daughter, grew up, and Roo got old, and it was like life changing. Again, it's one of these situations where you're kind of, you don't think about it. Same with your children growing up, you don't think about it. You don't think about your dog getting old and not being able to stand up one day, or, you know, and I started noticing different changes. Roo was a sun worshipper. She used to lay out in the sun. I used to have to tell her to come in because she just wouldn't. And one day she just sort of laid there and she's looked at me, and I was like, are you okay? And she couldn't get up. And I thought, oh, okay. So I sort of picked her up. She shook herself off. We came in, and she was just noticeably tired. You know when you sort of see an elderly person and that their bones are aching. And I just thought, okay, we'll go and get this checked out. And she was diagnosed with arthritis. She was 12, so I'm like, okay. She's never had problems before. So
like
I'm
full health all along.
full health.
Yeah.
For a mongrel dog, she was just amazing. She never had problems. Bearing in mind, she used to have Weetabix for my nana every morning. They drink a cup of tea. It's not like how it was now. We always think back to how we behaved with dogs. I mean, the dogs that I have now, they're allergic to everything. They're on a raw-fed diet.
Okay,
they can't have anything at all.
Roo
would eat a whole packet of jam tarts, including the tin foil and cardboard, and there would be no vet visit. She was just a super dog. And with the arthritis, they put us on some medication. Her diet changed. She loved fatty food. She loved sort of the tinned food. You put raw food in front of her, she's not interested at all. So we're cooking chicken, we're cooking rice, we're cooking everything that we have for dinner, she's having with us now, because we're like, okay, this needs to be super healthy for her. I found a local swimming pool that I could go in with her. I used to take her swimming to take the weight off her legs. Obviously, because she was arthritic now, she wasn't able to go for long walks. So it was her only form of exercise, because she was obviously putting on quite a bit of weight, which was then making it worse for her legs.
Yes. Well, the swimming is great for when there's no impact.
She took to it. Some dogs don't like water. I don't particularly like water, but any opportunity to go in the swimming pool with my dog, I'm going to take. And she was just so elegant with it. You know, it was beautiful, and we coped with it, and it was just manageable. Never once did I think it was going to get worse. It was just in the moment. I was always in the moment with her problems when she became a senior, because I didn't want to think about anything else. One evening, it was about in the October of 2021, I just got my art studio. I kitted it out, had her bed in it, her corner. It was, going to be her little den that she'd come to the studio with me every day. And for whatever reason, I looked in her mouth. Not something that I do often, is look in a dog's mouth, but I looked in her mouth and I saw a lump. And I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't look very nice. I'm not a vet. I'm not registered to know my dog, but I just had this sinking feeling in my stomach. I thought, oh, okay. Took her to the vet, and they were like, yep, it's really, really aggressive mouth cancer. She is going to have between 6 weeks to 6 months. You can go for chemotherapy, you can go through the process of what you want to do. I know my dog inside out, and for me, she's arthritic, she's on medication anyway, we're doing swimming weekly, she's having the time of her life. I'm not giving her last chapters to 50% days, and her not feeling well, and her throwing up, and the risk isn't worth it. I'd rather just enjoy my time. I know she would want to do the same. She was limpy Lou anyway. She used to limp around with her arthritic self, and it was a decision I didn't want to have to make. No one wants to have to make it, but it's their quality of life. Maybe if she wasn't arthritic, if she didn't have arthritis, I would have thought about it harder, maybe made different decisions. But I just wanted, she had the best life. And I wanted the remainder of her life to be the best life too.
Yeah.
So we discussed it with the vets, and I said, look, as long as the pain's, you know, if she's in pain, then I want it managed. And he said, look, what you're doing with the swimming, she's enjoying it. It's just palliative care now. This is what it is. And it's that I can't say it,
Anticipatory grief. Yeah.
Grief.
Yeah.
I never knew what it was.
Yeah.
We've had so many dogs in the past pass away. It's always quite sudden. We have to make that decision on the spot.
Yeah.
Never have I had to experience one making the choice. Okay, I'm going to decline help, but it's for the best reasons possible. So I didn't know. I didn't know if I'm going to have half a year with her. I didn't know if I'm going to have a day with her. I don't know. And we just enjoyed small moments. It was autumn. Everything became orange. Orange was her colour anyway. It's always been her colour. And it was like she knew what was going on because she just became so much more relaxed in herself. She was quite a bolshy dog. She was very territorial. You know, if my neighbours walked past me, she'd bark, bark, bark. It was she just kind of took a step back and she was like, oh, okay, I think I need to retire now. I need to just sort of take my pension and just chill out, let people take care of me. And I may not have mentioned, but she was quite dog aggressive.
Okay.
Due to being attacked twice in her life by two different dogs. It didn't matter to me. There were so many places around us that we could go and avoid them. But I always understood it. You know, this is why I always stand for dog aggression or dog reaction, because if a human attacked me twice, I don't think I'd be able to speak to another human again.
And it's so logical. Like that's
I get it. I understand. I'm not gonna you know, she's 12. If she becomes a miserable dog and just wants to bark and bite everyone, then fine. You know, she can do what she wants now. And she deteriorated really quickly. Like I said, I have no experience on this. I joined so many forums that I found on social media about different medications, different palliative cares, different ways to adapt the house.
Okay.
For between the October and December when she left, we had yoga mats all over the house because we had a wooden floor. Obviously her nails, as much as we were clipping them, her nails were growing. It was becoming quite hard for her, not for us. It didn't make a difference to us. So we just bought loads and loads of yoga mats, put them all down so that she didn't slip on the wooden floor. The hardest thing for me was that she couldn't get in the bed anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I'd had my dog in a bed for nearly 13 years. And all of a sudden, it's like having a partner in your bed and then they're not there anymore.
There's grief there then straight away. Like
I just missed her too much. So I ended up, like you do with a baby, I ended up putting the sofa in the living room and the bed next to it, and we used to sleep together then. You know, it was because Roo was always that dog that used to take herself off. She was so independent. She didn't need me at all. But now she had nowhere to go because she wouldn't take herself off to the bedroom knowing full well that she couldn't get on the bed. So it was like, okay, bedtime. It was always by the TV. She liked to watch TV. She was literally an old woman. Like this, it was just so beautiful. When I think back to it, she was such an old woman. She'd watch a TV program. She'd nuzzle into her blanket. She'd prop her head on the side. And then that would be it for the evening. She's snoring. It was the end of November, and she collapsed. She just collapsed. I was going to take her for a car ride. We loved car rides. I used to put her on the front seat. I used to drive. We'd have the windows down and we'd just play music and drive. We had nowhere to go, but it was just nice because obviously she couldn't walk anywhere. I still wanted her to experience life around her like she always did. So we go for a car ride and she collapsed on the way to the door. So you just have it's through the process of the last chapters, you just constantly have that sinking, gut-wrenching feeling when you're like, please don't be the day. I want one more day. Please don't, it's just you're constantly asking yourself. But at the same time, you're fighting with yourself because it's not about
Yeah.
you. It's about them.
There's so much conflict going on inside.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was, I got her up and she always did this thing where she just shook her ears off and she was like, oh, no, I'm okay. I just fell over. So I'm like, we'll miss the car ride today. And then I think it was on the 6th of December, 2021, she just didn't eat. She just woke up and she just didn't eat. And it was at this stage, like I said, I was cooking her meals for her, whatever she wanted for breakfast, whatever she wanted. She had steak dinners, whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
She just didn't want anything at all, nothing. And I was like, okay, had a sort of cry in the corner to myself. And I'm thinking, is this a sign? Is she telling me? I don't know, because they always say, you will know. You know in that moment. I didn't know. I thought, I don't know. Am I fighting me? Is this the right decision? Is this the wrong decision? So I rang my partner and I said, look, she's not eating. She's still walking about, but she's not eating. I'm going to take her into the vets. We're going to see what they say. So just before the vets, we went into the garden and she just laid on the floor. She gave me this look that I have never seen in the 13 years of Roo. I've never seen this look before. And it was a look as if to say, I'm done. And at that moment, I just knew in my heart, I thought, that's her telling me.
What did that feel like for you?
It was, when I say an overwhelming relief,
yeah,
that I'm having to make this decision. She told me without saying a single word. She was like, Mum, it's okay. Like I'm done. I'm tired. So we took her to the vets. A bit of a strange one at the vets because obviously everyone around me loved Roo. They knew Roo. My brother, my nana, my mum, my dad, obviously my daughter. We've gone to the vets and they were lovely there. It was I always liked going to the PDSA ones because it was charity based. So when you're giving them the money, it's going to a good cause. It was always helping out. And she said, look, I think it's time, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, I want everyone to say goodbye to her. I know that everyone's going to want to say goodbye to her. So she sort of got the shaver out. And she said, okay, so do you want to sort of wait an hour? And I was like, no, we're not doing it today. No, she's okay.
Oh,
I was
God,
like,
okay.
oh my goodness me, I'm not ready for this.
That wasn't even discussed, even.
Yeah,
like,
me and Roo just sort of looked at each other as if this is not happening today. And I said to her, look, give us 48 hours. I'm going to say 48 hours. It might be 24. I don't know how she's going to cope. But give us 48 hours. So we set the date for the 9th of December and I came home, I rang everyone. I remember going to see my nana. My nana is my world. I love my nana so much. And we drove to her house after being at the vet and I didn't cry. Through the preparations, I didn't cry. I needed to be strong. It was how am I going to tell my daughter? How am I going to tell everyone? Because she was just so loved by everyone. And I walked into my nana's house and I just looked at her and I just burst into tears and she said, is it time? And I said, yeah, I think it is. I said, but I just want her to say goodbye to everyone. So I invited everyone over on the 8th, including Roo's swimming instructor. She came and sat and watched 101 Dalmatians with her. My dad, my nana, my brother drove like 120 miles to come and spend time with her. We FaceTimed everyone. My best friend who lives 70 miles away, she FaceTimed her. It was like this. When I always say it's tragically beautiful, it wasn't sad.
It was a celebration.
It was just, my brother's thing with Rue, because of her breed, she looked like she had really baggy trousers on.
Oh.
And my brother's thing was, he used to say to her, pull your trousers up, Rue. And that was the last thing he said to her. And then even he was in bits, and he was like, look, I've got to go. I can't. And that's what I said to her all the time. I
Mm.
don't want to be sad in front of her. And that was all of us were like, we can't be sad in front of her because she's still wagging her tail.
Mm.
She could barely walk. She really declined over the 24 hours. She was able to have a couple of chicken nuggets. We bought her a McDonald's cheeseburger. That was her treat every so often. She wasn't interested in it. Telling my daughter, I think, was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
There's no preparation for that. There's no book. There's no answer, and I just sort of said to Bugsy, she was 8. Um, sorry, no, she wasn't. She was 10 at the time. And it was that massive choice of, okay, I've got a 10-year-old here. Do I tell her the truth?
Mm.
Do I make it a story?
Mm.
And I thought, look, as a lone parent for the majority of her life, she didn't grow up quick, but we were very honest. We've always been so honest with each other.
Mm.
And I just said to her, look, Bugsy, Rue's tired and she's going to leave. And that's it. She's, of course, she was just absolutely devastated. You can see pain.
Yeah.
There's a difference in crying. I cry at every physical movie that I watch, and it's tears are streaming down your face, but there's no pain in it.
Yeah.
When you see someone's pain, it just hurts you as well, so especially when you're an empathetic person.
Of course.
You feel it with them. And I said to her, look, the process is my partner had a big van that she used to love, and I said, we're going to drive in the van to the vets.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give her an injection. She's going to fall asleep. And we're going to then go to a crematorium, and her body's going to be made into stardust. And she's going to be within the stars, always. Do you want to be there? And she said, yes, of course I do. And I thought, sometimes children make decisions that we have to override. For me, I feel like this was an experience that she needed to have to close that book. Because the reality of it was, if I didn't bring her with us and we walk out the door with Rue, she's got unanswered questions. Well, where did she go? What happened? Did she fall asleep? Was she okay? And I thought, I just want her to see it too. So that was it. Then
that's incredible that you were like so honest and gave her the choice and asked her. Like, that just does not happen very often for children. Even for me growing up, I was never given
listen,
choice.
I'm no expert. But I remember being very, very young, and my grandma had a cat. I think when I say young, I think I must have been about 8 years old, and her name was Cleo. She was a black cat. She was beautiful. And she was very, very elderly. And I remember my grandma saying to me, would you like to come to the vets with me? We're going to say goodbye to Cleo. There was an understanding of that age, but you're still young-minded in the aspect. It's like, okay, we're saying goodbye, and then what? I don't understand. Being there in the vet's office, watching her fall asleep, saying goodbye, there's an understanding there then.
Yes.
Okay, she's gone.
Processed what's just after happening. Yeah.
So I think that was in the back of my mind in doing so. I'm not an expert. I'm a parent who's going to make mistakes. It could have gone horribly wrong, and I've scarred her for life. Luckily, it didn't. It was the best decision that I physically made, and I stand by that. I think with children, sometimes we can learn a lot more from them because we overthink so much as adults. And she just was so understanding because it was so black and white. Okay, we're going there, she's fallen asleep, we're going to the crematorium, and then she's stardust. That's all that it needs to be. So it was amazing. And, I double checked with her in the morning. I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. It
Mm.
was my last night with Roo. I'm not missing any opportunity. So I propped her up on the sofa and we laid on the sofa and we just watched every Disney film possible.
Mm.
And the sun came up. Bearing in mind she hadn't walked, she'd lost the use of her legs. It got to about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and she stood up. And it was like, we needed to leave by 11 o'clock.
Okay.
She stood up. It's the 9th of December. It's freezing. The sun was out. The sun was just, it was warm. The sun was out. It was like, it was from a book. It was from a fairy tale. She's walked outside. She's gone to the garden. She's laid on the grass as if she was just soaking up every last moment.
Every bit of sunshine that she loved, yeah.
She then got up. We were there we had about 4 coffees because by this time I'm really struggling.
Mm.
My eyes are completely swollen. I've got burst blood vessels everywhere because I'm just like, but I always sort of cried away from her. I go to the bathroom and I cry because I didn't want to cry in front of her. We came back on the bed. I sang her You Are My Sunshine because that was our song. And then she just went to the front door. Like she'd packed her bags and she was ready to, she made the decisions for me so I didn't have to make them
How
myself.
connected the two of you were is incredible.
I owe everything to her in her last moments because she just did it for me. And she sort of, as she's walked out the room, it's not a very big property. As we've walked out the room, she sort of looked back and looked at everything and then just walked forward to the front door. You can't write it. It was just this.
Unbelievable.
You hear, there are so many awful stories to the ends of their lives, where it's just, they may be in pain or they something tragic happens, they get knocked down or I was so lucky to have what I had in the last moments. It's still sad, I understand that, but we've gone to the front door. She's walked out. She's walked herself to the van. She's waiting there. I'm like, this dog has lost all use of her legs over the past 48 hours. I don't understand. Then it kicks in. I'm thinking, have I made the right decision?
Because she's walking, yeah.
Because she's walking. We double checked that she could eat anything. No, she's not interested. We've sat her in the van. She's laid down. We got to the vets. The vans were like sliding doors. So it was really super easy. The vet obviously asked if we wanted to go in the vets. Roo hated the vet.
Okay, so that was a no.
Yeah, she would bark. I think there was one vet in her lifetime that she liked. The rest of them were just, they might as well have been Satan because it was just awful. Even just to, check her ears, you'd think that she would be murdered. But we sat in the van. I said to Bugsy, look, we're very fortunate because of the van that we had. Bugsy was on, I don't know what it's called, where it's down on the bottom of the seats. It was a floor.
Oh, yeah.
She was sat there. My partner was sat at the back of Roo. I was sat at her face. The vet came out and obviously explained to all 3 of us the process, the needle. And they said, and then she's going to fall asleep. And I remember we were nose to nose and she was looking straight at me and I just said, you were the best dog in the world. I can't express to you, you are my best friend. You will always be, I owe you so much and I love you. And they put the needle in and she just went to sleep. There was no fight, there was no worry. And I felt her last breath on my face. And for me, I couldn't have asked for anything more. She gave me her life of dedication, love, passion. She taught me everything I know about being a good human. So it was just the most beautiful goodbye. And we sat there for a moment. The vet obviously left and we needed to be at the crematorium. So I curled her up. She was obviously in her favourite blanket anyway. So she was on my lap the whole way to the crematorium, and something that I never experienced to this degree now is the signs that I get from Roo. You would think that I was going mad. On the day that we were driving to the crematorium, I've never seen one in my life. A bird of prey hit the windscreen.
What?
Just talons out,
Oh my
hit the
gosh.
windscreen. And we were like, whoa. As I've sat up, this car, we were on the motorway. It's a very busy motorway. This car's gone past with the number plate ROO. So
Oh.
I'm like, I'm holding her in my arms and I'm like, what just happened? My partner was like, what is going on? My daughter's like, this is crazy. She's basically telling us exactly what she's going to come back as. I'm
Oh my
petrified
God.
of birds. So of course Rue would give me
Oh,
that
are
last
you?
thing to be a bird so that I have to then like them. So we've got to the crematorium and everything was just so plain sailing. You know, I can't put, I can understand it, but I could never put myself in the headspace of the struggles that people go through on the last days because
Mm.
it can be so difficult. You know, a few months after Rue passed away, we lost my dad's dog.
Mhm.
He had the amount of what they injected into him was the amount they put into a rhino because he just wouldn't fall asleep
Oh,
because he was just so stubborn. But it was awful. It was a
oh,
very, very triggering, awful
okay.
experience. And my dad, he didn't manage very well. And it was, you know, my dad's always the strong one. And to see him not manage it well. So I can understand to a certain degree, you know, with my brother's story, he lost Bubba, his dog, who was Rue's best friend, only a few months after Rue passed away.
Oh gosh.
They didn't realize that she had a brain tumor and she
Oh,
had a seizure. My brother couldn't get to her, so he never got to say goodbye. So in my story, they're not my stories.
yeah,
I, so I don't feel like I'm entitled to be sad about them. I'm there for them, but
yeah,
that's your story to grieve.
yeah.
And for me, my goodbye was a beautiful one. And
Mm.
I need to keep it at that
Hmm.
because I'm lucky. You know, we all have to say goodbye, and I'm very, very lucky to have that. And the same with the crematorium. It was just a beautiful moment. We went into a private room. Um, Rue had her blankie. She had her piggy Teddy,
Hmm.
a goat strip, and a marshmallow. And it was always the
Oh.
goat strips to eat on the way up, and the marshmallow something sweet when you get there to make friends. And she had her toy sausages to play with. Obviously, as you walk through in the crematorium, she was going into the oven. I want to say the oven. I don't know the technical term for it.
Mm.
I said to my partner and my daughter, look, say goodbye now because I need it to be just me and Rue at the end because it was just me and Rue in the beginning. So
Yeah.
I just need this to close this book for me and her to be.
Mm.
Um, and there was a wonderful gentleman there who was going to put her in and he said, you know, do you mind if I say a prayer? And I said, no, of course not. That's absolutely fine. And I said, as long as whoever you're telling it to, just please tell Rue not to bite anyone when she gets there. I would really appreciate that. To
Mm.
which he did say it, you know, and it was a beautiful moment. It's again these companies and businesses out there that completely
Mm.
understand. It's
The
not just a
compassion.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he could have gone no, but he didn't, and it was
Mm.
like this. I feel so content in this moment. Obviously, I hadn't shed a tear, and we didn't want to leave. I
Yeah.
think that was the hardest thing is we just didn't want to go anywhere.
Mm.
I thought this is the last place she is, and I don't know how to walk away.
Yeah.
So we just kind of sat in the van in silence. My daughter, my partner, and myself just sat in the van in silence, as if to say, well, what next? I don't know what to do now. So my partner sort of said, right, we're going to take a small drive home, a really slow drive, and we're going to play some songs. The biggest thing for me is my life is always filled with music. Music puts me in the mood or the frame of mind or helps me
Mm.
move forward. And Coldplay has always been a biggest part of my life, especially with Rue. And a lot of the Coldplay songs. Well, we've turned the phone on. Lo and behold, Coldplay is just playing,
Of
and we're
course.
just that's it. My head is in the blanket. I am just in bits.
Yeah.
I,
It
I could
comes
just,
out. You can
I
just
could let
release it
go.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mm.
needed to let go. But I didn't know how. I didn't know what to do.
Mm.
And we got home, and I think that was the one thing for me was she'd been by my side for 13 years. I'm walking into a property. She's not there. I can't walk in. I
Mm.
can't do it. I physically, because when we left this morning, she was there.
Mm.
It took me 2 hours to walk in the front door. I just couldn't. I'd get to the front and I'd walk back to the car because I can't do it.
It's so life altering, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
just.
There was, obviously I understand the process. I understand what's happened and I understand who's gone. I don't want to. I
Mm.
don't want to accept it. I'm angry. I'm like, no, I'm not going back in there because Roo should be in there.
Mm.
Obviously, it's one of those things. Time stands still because I walked in, her bed's there, her toys there, her water bowl's there, her medication's on the side, but she's not.
Mm.
I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. We just all sat. I'm so fortunate that my partner. I'm a very emotional person, especially the job that I do. I cry so many times.
Mm.
He understands it. I've never been so fortunate and grateful to have met someone like him, and my daughter as well. I've always expressed to her to be open. Don't hold it in. You need to be open. You will find your right people in life if you are just authentically yourself,
Yourself.
even on the bad days.
Mm.
And we just cried and cried and cried, and I was in her bed, and I couldn't get out of her bed, and I cried myself to sleep. I don't know what time I went to sleep, but I just cried myself to sleep. And I'm fortunate. I work for myself,
Yeah.
so I didn't have to go to work. My partner had to go to work the next day. He was like, I don't know how to go to work. I can't say to people what's just happened. I
Mm.
can't open up because it's that whole situation of you have a comfort zone or you have
Mm.
your safety net of just, even if it's one person in your whole entire life that understands. He's a barber. He
Okay.
has men who don't like talking about things in his chair.
Mm.
And even he said in his work, the only time that I've ever seen men cry in this chair is because they've said goodbye to their dog.
Oh my God.
And it's just starting to open up that conversation. So he said, look, for my own sanity, I can't talk about what's just happened because I don't want to cry at work. I need to get my work done and come home.
Yeah.
So it's that fighting with yourself because you think I want to be open and I want to just breathe openly. But at the same time, the world doesn't stop. You
Yeah.
have to continue to, no one knows, that's not their story. And I don't blame people for not understanding my story.
Mm.
It's not their fault. However, it would just be nice sometimes if I'm crying,
Mm.
just for people to pat me on the back, not be awkward about it,
Yeah.
And I think this was the thing that I massively experienced in the days after her, the weeks and months, even years now,
Mm.
is that grief, as everyone knows, is a massive roller coaster.
Yeah.
But in the experiences of when you have a pet that's passed away, people tend to not understand after time.
Mm.
It's an addition to it. Even now, I get angry because I just think I was of a generation where we didn't have loads of photos.
Mm.
So all of my photos of Roo, I think I have less than 10 or 20 in her first 8 years of her life.
Yeah. I'm the same with me
So I'm
too. Yeah.
scrolling, just trying to look for anything that I've ever missed,
Yeah.
but I didn't. So it's her last chapters that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And you always go back to it. With the crying, I woke up every day. I cried my eyes out. It was a pain that you can't explain. You can't explain. And I never felt stupid with it. I lost Bullseye in 2008, and he was my muse as such for for my art page anyway. He was my
Mm.
muse as an artist. It took me 2.5 years. Bearing in mind I loved him, but he wasn't my dog. He was the family dog. He was my dad's dog.
Okay.
So that there was obviously a connection, and we think about him and miss him every day. He was such a character. But it didn't hit me like this hit me.
Yeah.
This was like, I couldn't manage life without her. I didn't know how to,
Navigate it.
but not only that, I never imagined life without her before.
Yeah.
And it's something that we don't, because we're enjoying the moment. And that's the best thing about pets, is you're in that moment with them and nothing else around you matters.
Yeah.
When you do that for however many years, whether you have your dog for 2 years, 10 years, some dogs 20 years, you don't realize how life changes without them, because you don't know how to be you. I didn't know how to manage.
Mm.
You know, if I was nervous about something, doctor's appointment, for instance, I'd give Roo a big cuddle. You know, we'd sit together. Okay, this is okay. Even with grief in itself, when 2010, I lost my cousin to a tragic car accident. Roo was there for me.
Mm.
Humans weren't, because it's not their story, and I understand. You don't have to be, and I don't blame you for that. Roo got me through it.
Mm.
All of a sudden, I'm trying to navigate life without the one thing that got me through it.
Yeah.
So now I'm having to go through life without her and learning how to be me. And it was just one of the hardest. I think for about 13 months, I cried every single morning.
Mm.
It was that, I don't know if you've seen my art pieces, but in some of the art pieces, I like painting the moments between being awake and being asleep, because it's that moment of bliss where
Yeah.
nothing's sad, you're with them in those. It's just that beautiful
It's
moment
beautiful.
between sleep and awake.
Mm.
And that's the moments that I sort of wanted to stay. And then, of course, you wake up and you think to yourself, right, what's just happened? This has
Yeah.
happened. You're going over it all
And
over
then it's
again.
just poof, it just
Yeah.
straight hits you in the face. Yeah.
So it took me a good 13 months to get out of bed without shedding a tear.
And what
With,
helped you to kind of, is with the artwork, what helped you to kind of transition into like processing it and
some days I face it head on. I
okay.
would
Mm.
look at photos. You know, I've still got Rue's bed out in the living room. I
Mm-hmm.
still have all of her stuff, her collar, her urn. It's present. My daughter for the first year, what made her comfortable was to sleep with Rue's urn for the first 12 months of her past. Fine. I'm not going to question that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes the grieving process easier, then Rue comes to sleep with you. Mm. I'm not, you know, everyone finds their
unique paths as well.
There's no answer.
Yeah.
There is no answer. You literally have to ride out the waves
Mm.
to know what's going to fit in those moments. Mm. Some days I've cancelled appointments. Even now, we're coming up to 4 years without her. Cancel appointments because I wake up and I just wholeheartedly miss that dog. Nothing else in my mind. I just miss her. It's not, I don't think to myself, I've made bad decisions, I made a mistake. I just miss her. And it's the bottom line. And I think if you can find your outlet to, you know, music, again, I have a Rue playlist that if I'm just missing her, I will play it. I'll go for a drive and I'll put it on full blast. And some days I cry, some days I laugh, some days I think of memories. The one thing that I don't regret anything, but the one thing that I wish I did during the first sort of 12 months is write everything down. There are memories that I no longer have because I've forgotten them. There are memories that I bring up now that I thought I forgot, and it's amazing, and I do write that down. But I know that there are some memories that I wish I wrote down.
Yeah. And
I think you don't realise how important it is at the time. You know, I thought, oh no, well, I'll remember it forever. She, you know, I'm going to remember her forever, so I will. But I don't. So
That's
it
lovely for anyone listening, like to have that idea now, if, even if their pet is elderly or,
yeah,
nearing the end, just to write it down in the
just the
moment.
small moments,
Yeah.
like I've wrote down about the time that she was at my nana's and we went out and we came back in and she'd eaten the whole array of Mr. Kipling Bakewell tarts, including the tin foil and cardboard. That there was absolutely, she made sure there was absolutely no evidence
No
of the
evidence
existence
left.
of them. And it's things like that that you hold on to
Mm.
because they were the best. They were the best. Fish, hamsters, horses, they're your pet. They are in your soul. You have this it's like ivy,
Mm.
it's intertwined and it's a forever thing.
Mm.
So when you grieve, there's no answer to it. You grieve openly, you heal gently, and you do what is necessary. I do understand that life doesn't always let you do that. When you have to go to work and you
Yeah.
really don't, again, I think the biggest thing for me was not being angry at people for not understanding,
Mm. Mm.
because so many times I was like, I'm grieving. You don't understand how this feels. They don't have to.
Mm.
This is your story. Sometimes it's easier for me to not cry around the people that I know don't understand.
Mhm.
Then I'll cry later.
Mm.
I still feel it. If it's there, I let it come.
Or like
But
open up
it's,
to someone you feel safe
yeah.
around. Yeah.
I mean, the online community over the past, I've sort of been in this line of work now for 12 years, and the online pet loss community has grown to a point that it's so overwhelmingly welcome.
Yeah.
Knowing that so many people understand. And for me as an artist, I'm not a professional, I'm just a griever. And for me, my outlet is painting.
Hmm.
But to know that if I have a bad day, the virtual world, I think, is something that was very taboo way back when. Now it's another door. If the people around me don't understand or I'm grieving and I just think I want to see my friends,
Hmm.
I open that virtual door and everyone is there and they're so welcome and so amazing with it.
Mm.
It's just a nice, calm community in a world of, well, it was just a dog. Maybe you should get another one. Don't you think you should be over it? You just kind
Mm.
of just shut that door and open this one and we all sit down and have a coffee
That's amazing. With people
all
who
over
get
the
it.
world. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
do understand.
Mm.
And I think for people who grieve or in their grief journey quite early on, I would recommend to just look for those outlets that you feel comfortable.
Mm.
And not only that, don't feel bad for unfollowing. I've had
Mm.
occasions where people will say to me, look, I love your artwork so much, it's helping me, but I'm just struggling just a little bit at the moment. I'm going to have to unfollow you.
Mm.
That's fine. That's because this is your grief journey. And if you
Mm.
don't need it at the moment, you feel like you want to move forward in a different way using a different method, that's
Mm.
absolutely fine.
Yeah.
There is no answer and there is no right way to do it.
Mm.
We're all in this together.
We're all just paving our own path, whatever
Yeah.
way that goes.
Yeah. I think
And I love,
my favorite thing to do is to, whenever I go and get coffee, because I'm coffee obsessed,
mm,
especially in, I don't know if I can say them, are other places available, but when I go to Starbucks and they ask for my name, I always say Roo. So that
oh, I love it.
when they write it on the cup and they call it out, I get to hear her name being called.
Oh, what a lovely thing to do. That's
It's just
amazing.
something nice to have so that
Yeah,
I feel like she's with me.
I love it. I love that. And I also was going to say, I love the meaning of the Ladybug Art logo. So tell
Yeah,
everybody, tell,
do you know
yeah,
it? Oh my goodness.
yeah.
So obviously through my lifetime with Rue and Bug, my daughter, we were a tripod. So obviously you have me, the lady, Bug, my daughter,
Mm,
and Rue was the paw print that keeps us all together. Um,
I
and
love it.
that's me. That's
Yeah.
it's just a constant reminder of my two girls, my proudest achievements in my whole entire life is that dog and
That's
my
so
daughter.
special. So if anyone didn't know that, now you do.
Yeah.
So you can go on and on your Instagram and have a look at the logo and you can be like, oh yeah. Tell us more about your art and obviously you're 12 years now with your
Yeah.
doing so many pieces all around the world. So tell us a bit more about it and how you get your inspiration, and like, do you get to hear from people from everywhere, and do they kind of mention their stories to you and when you do
It
commissions and things like that?
it's been so welcoming. I never thought that I would get the reception that I did with my artwork. It's
Hmm.
for me, it was an outlet. I used to write poetry when I was younger. That was my way of expressing how no one ever saw it. It's
Private poetry.
yeah, it's all in the book, but I have no idea where it is now.
Yeah.
But it was my feelings. It was the way that
Mm.
the only way I could express. Like I
Mm.
said, I was a lone parent. I was up all night, and I just thought I'm going to start painting. And when you I didn't put any pressure on myself. I just thought I'm just going to see what's in there, what's
Mm.
inside me, and see what comes out. And it was just all of the grief and all of the love that I've had
Mm.
towards all of my animals. Like I said, Bullseye ended up being my muse. He passed away in 2008. And it just came flooding out of me. And then I just felt this. I don't want to say a mental artist, but I love Vincent van Gogh very much, to the point that I understand the need to paint.
Mm.
I need to express it, and sharing it on a social platform is possibly one of the scariest things you can ever experience.
Mm.
The amount of followers that I have, if I was to stand in a room and everyone was to stand in front of me, I think I'd cry, because it is just,
Over 80,000, by the way.
I do my artwork for
Mm.
me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I do my commission pieces because people understand exactly what I'm creating, but the pieces that I create for me are in the moment. So,
Mm.
I've been, the month of July, I've been on a reflective path. I want to reflect on things,
Mm.
going back to basics. Sometimes social media becomes very overwhelming, and I
Yeah.
think, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? With all of the pet loss community,
Yeah.
I'm looking for too many answers.
Mm.
So I need to take a step back, and I took a step back, and I just thought, right, I need to reflect on me, and how I feel about Roo, where I am in my process of missing her. And it was just appreciating and being grateful for all the places that we used to be, and she's still here in all the places we used to go. And as soon as the sun starts shining on a spot in the garden, it makes
Mm-hmm.
me think of her. And that's where the idea of these sketches come from. It's never planned. I think to myself, I'll be sat in the garden with a coffee looking at the spot she used to be, because I can't sit there yet,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to sketch the thought of her being there, in another world.
Mm-hmm.
She's never far away. She's just a little bit out of sight. So with my artwork, it's one of these expressions too. I think that's why I don't feel like I'm ever going to be a world-renowned artist in big auction houses, because
Mm-hmm.
it's more passion and feeling. And I'm never going to be anything more than that, because that's all I need to be. And that's all I want to be as an artist, is to be able to paint something. And even if one other person looks at that and thinks to themselves, I know exactly how you feel, or that has made me feel
Mm-hmm.
in that moment with my animal, everything's complete. As
Yeah.
an artist, I've succeeded.
Yeah.
I can still say that I've sold more paintings than Vincent, but he only sold one in his lifetime. So, but if I could honestly, hand on my heart, if I could do it for free, I would. I would love to paint every animal on this planet.
Mm.
Because I remember another artist on social media gifted me a drawing of Ruth and my
Mm-hmm.
daughter. And the feeling, I don't know I don't know how other people feel when obviously I have feedback and they're very appreciative, but I've never felt it. So when I received a piece of artwork, it was like a piece of me was complete again. I was like, this is this is insane. And I thought, oh my goodness, is this how people feel
Yeah.
when they see my work? Obviously, with me, if I'm having a moment and I spend 12 hours on a painting and then I'm not really happy with it, people don't see that. They see their interpretation of that moment, and it
Yeah.
brings some form of warmth to their heart.
Mm.
it's
But
just
for you to experience it,
yeah,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
completely mental
Mm,
experience. So yeah, that's
yeah.
I can't pay much on it. I'm just this crazy artist who likes to paint pets that have passed
Well, on
away.
behalf of everybody listening and of all the pet loss community, thank you for everything that you do. And like, you just bring so much comfort and validation and hope to everybody. And just the community that you've created is just so special.
I appreciate that. I really do because it was only validation for myself. That
Mm,
was all it was. And to my feeling, if you can just find everyone's an artist. If anyone
mm,
out there thinks that they can't do it, they truly, truly can. If you know, even that, if they want to do a little scribble of their pet that has passed away, do it.
mhm,
You will hate it. It's your own piece of artwork. You will hate it, but it just lets it out. It's on
yeah.
paper. That was what was inside of you, and it's on paper now, and
Mhm,
you've just let it go. And I think
mhm,
it's that art. Art can, like I've always said, flowers wilt and cards get pushed in drawers, but art lasts a
yeah.
lifetime. And if that's on your wall and it brings them into the everyday life where new guests
Mm,
come to your house and they look at the painting and they go, wow, that's a beautiful painting. It gives you an opportunity to talk about your dog or your
yeah,
cat or, you know, whoever. It
definitely.
just gives you that opportunity to do so.
Just to honor your pet and keep that connection alive, that relationship alive,
That's it.
basically. Yeah.
That's it.
I have felt honored to speak with you and like learn more about your relationship with Rue, which was incredible. Like the connection that you had with her was just beyond imagination, even the signs towards the end and after and everything. I'm sure you're still receiving lots of signs, but
Every
yeah.
day I have a bird of prey flying over me or I will park somewhere or a car will pull out in front of me, but I don't mind it because it will always be the number plate ROO.
Oh my God.
It just every day I
Yeah.
have it, one or the other, every day for 4 years I have it. And it's, you couldn't make it up. If you were to
No.
tell someone who doesn't understand pet loss, they wouldn't believe it. But
No.
when you get signs yourself, whether it be feathers or, you know, songs, anything,
Mm.
it's just, it's such a feeling of contentment that she's okay and
Yeah.
she's just stopping by to say hello.
Yeah. It's so comforting, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess, and I won't keep you any longer now because I could talk to you for another hour.
I'll
I've
do that.
loved,
I don't mind any opportunity to talk about Rue. I'm happy.
I know, I've loved the conversation, and if whoever's listening to this, if you like it or you know it will be helpful for someone else, share it and talk about it and leave a comment under the episode and or email me, let me know what you thought and what it brought up for you and if it was a help. We'd love to know and we'll be sharing it on social media and everything else. But Jess, thank you again and I hope that we get
Oh,
to do
thank you
this
so
again
much.
sometime.
Of course.
Take care and until next time, talk to you soon.